Ladies and gentlemen, it is March 21st, 2013, and this is the KNKL M Stream Day 34, where we usually sit down and learn to make comics together, but because of the recent release of issue 2, we're going to be taking a little bit of a break, learning to rest. We are going to be meditating and talking about life and talking about some things. Actually, there's a lot of things I need to update you on as far as upcoming events that are going to be affecting the show, right? And the comic. So today, as you can tell, we have the romantic candle lit in the background. So today is going to be a very intimate daily. We're going to be talking about life, talking about all these kinds of things. But first, I would like to, let's see, what do I want to do first? Let's go ahead and take a walk down the lovely lane because we got something new in from Alicia. Let's go ahead and take a look at that. And I really like this because it is just so cute to see Nico and Emma together. So precious. Gotta love it. So thank you, Alicia, for your awesome fan art as usual. Seems like as soon as I release anything that you can work with, you immediately follow it up with some art. Alright. And we are going to be moving into our announcements, but first I want to say thank you to everybody who has been donating this month. If you'd like to get your name on this list, simply go to emmacomiconline.com, click the Donate tab, and contribute as little or as much as you like, and then I'll feature your name on here throughout the month. Alright, so guys, we're going to be talking about some updates today. We're going to be talking about stuff, not so much drawing today. We might get into that next week, and that leads me to my first announcement, which is next Monday I'm actually going to be taking completely off, once again. And I did it like, was it this week or was it last week? I think, oh, it was this week. Next week I'm actually going to be taking Monday off as well because I'm actually doing some preparations doing some preparations for a giant move that I'm going to be doing, right? I'm moving once again. I'm heading back to the homeland, heading back to Utah. I'm going to be living there with my pops for a little bit while I'm kind of getting things stable financially with the business. And then what's really nice about that is once I get things, good and going with the business and financially stable, I'm actually going to be looking into getting a property, like a house with my brothers. So that could be really, really awesome and that could be really, really fun. So I want to go ahead and get started on that. So naturally there are some preparations and I need to make time to meet people, say bye to friends, and yeah, people that I'm not going to be seeing for a little while. So Monday is going to be one of those days, and I'm taking that off. So we'll resume the normally scheduled thing. We'll have the tutorial on Tuesday, and then we'll go Wednesday, Thursday, as planned. All right. So next up, we're talking about. Okay, so I talked about that. Next up, I want to talk about the charity auction. A few weeks ago, I was talking about the prints that we are making, and I'll show you exactly what those look like. Right here, you have the Holy Grail of the Emma prints. And it is basically, I'm going to be printing 90 of these babies, right? So they're going to be limited prints of issue 1, the cover of issue 1. And basically, these are going to be going on sale probably within the next few weeks. But number 1 is actually going to be going on auction on eBay for charity. How about that? A good friend of mine named Franny, I worked with her at Riot. She is creating like a nonprofit organization for children that suffer from a rare birth disease called Mito. Right? Her little baby is suffering from it, and a couple other families are suffering from it. So she's creating this charity auction, and she's asking artists to contribute things that will help to raise funds for this. So if you guys, I'm going to keep you guys posted on that. The eBay auction should be going up within the next few days. So as soon as that happens, I'll post it on the Facebook, probably make a video about it on here, and all of that good stuff. So if you want number 1, then you can go ahead and participate in this, and let's raise some money. Let's raise a lot of money for these people. Let's make it good, make it awesome. And then after that, I'll be selling 2 through 90 soon after that. So, lovely things, lovely things. But how are you guys doing today? We're talking all about my life, but how are you guys out there? Why don't you tell me over here? I'll take a look at what you guys have to say. All right. I realized something yesterday when we were doing that the director's commentary on the comic, I was like, this is so much fun. Like, this is probably the most fun I've had. I mean, I always have fun when I'm doing the shows. But there's something about that just felt like really, really special. And so I almost thought of that as like the carrot on the stick at the end. You know, it's the carrot to finish the part of the comic, so I can do the director's commentary on it. So yeah, that might be just that one more little thing that's gonna keep me going, keep me pushing forward and getting the comic done quicker. But I really, really enjoyed that, and I hope you guys did too. For those of you who haven't seen it, go watch it if that's something you'd be into. Watch me talk about the comic. All right, charity auction checked off. All right, guys. So I'm going to be talking today about these. I'm basically going to deem this like Keenan's thoughts, updates, and Keenan's thoughts about business, life, and all that stuff. We're going to be talking about many, many intimate things today. And so the first thing I want to talk about is where life is going. Where life is going, where I see it going for me, and where I see the business going. So since the release of issue 1 and the digital editions, it's already like surpassed basically any hopes I had for like how much money it was gonna make. You know, so many like online digital comics, they they barely make enough money to even support the hosting bills of their site. You know, like $10 a month. And luckily, I shot way past that. You know, it's awesome. It's a great start. You know, I can't like freaking go out and party for the rest of my life, but it's a great start and has a lot of potential. And so I see that becoming like the reality where I can really start doing this full time and not be working for Riot on the side, doing contract work. I see that approaching probably, I don't know, maybe within the next maybe 6 to 8 months, which is pretty dang cool. Like, that would be really, really awesome to finally go full time on this. And then basically everything after I'm able to support myself off of just the business, that's the point where things start getting really interesting, because then I can start hiring people. I can start paying to have work done. Yeah, I can just start investing more into my future in the business. Now, that's just the business side, right? But where do I see life going? I really see my life going. I mean, obviously, I'm moving to Utah. I'm really happy about it, actually, because I'm super excited to go back to my family. I'm super excited to go back to my brothers. I have like a really, really close relationship with my brothers. And my littlest brother, he's also into art himself, and he wants to do comics, right? So I was like, oh, sweet, dude. Well, I can show you what I've been doing. I'll show you like my notes I've been taking. I'll teach you how to make a website, how to like promote yourself, how to do all this stuff. And I feel like he's really starting to find that passion in life. And then my middle brother, he is into video and taking pictures and photography, and he's really talented. He's actually doing what he loves, which is really awesome. So naturally, I'm just excited to be surrounded with people that are passionate about life, people that want to like improve themselves and like move forward and do things, so I think that's good. And when I compare Utah to California, I wouldn't say one is necessarily better than the other. I think they both just have their pros and cons. But the one thing I do like about Utah, and one of the big reasons why I'm moving there, is because it's so much more financially viable. I can live there for so much. It's so much less expensive to live there than it is to live in California. But yeah, basically for the amount that I'm paying to live in this room, and I got a good deal on living in this room because my friend's mom is a sweetheart and gave me a good deal. But even for the good deal that she gave me to live in this room, I can have a 2-bedroom apartment in Utah. Then I can be, having roommates, and my brothers have jobs, so they can help me pay for it. Or we could get a house down there, which is really what I want to do. So we can turn it into a studio, and it can be all ours, and it'll be epic and sweet. So I see life going some really, really good ways right now. There's a lot of uncertainty. There's a lot of I can't tell you guys how crazy I've been kind of feeling as of late. I notice I'm retracting back into that kind of the super sensitive, I care what everybody else thinks about me, that kind of shell. Ever since I released issue 2 part 1, And I thought that after I released that, I was fine. I was like gonna relax, you know, because I was all like, I was always like, oh yeah, I gotta get this done, gotta get this done, and I was really enjoying it. And I was like, oh, as soon as this is done, I'm gonna be able to relax and just take it easy. But I released it, and it actually ended up being like, now I feel so like, I feel so listless. You know what I mean? Even though I'm writing down tons of lists in my journal, you know, even with all this, I still feel very, very anxious. And I think it's partially just because I feel like I'm approaching another huge crossroads in my life. I'm coming up to a huge crossroads, and it's going to take me in two directions, and I have to choose which way I'm going to go. And I have chosen one way to go, and it's just interesting to realize, you know, choosing a big path in life and what's going to happen next, making a big change. So naturally, I think it's okay to be anxious about that, but I kind of want to just accept what I've done, accept what I've chosen, and then just go for it and let life kind of take its course. But yeah, I'm gonna take a look over here really quick and see if you guys are saying stuff. Mm-hmm. You guys, when I asked how you guys are doing, saying great, really improving artistically, thanks to you. You guys are awesome. I love hearing about you guys. I love having you guys come and join me and listen in on my crazy thoughts about life. Hmm. I figured that's kind of like a way that I'm a little bit more different. Like I was actually talking with my friend about this a few days ago. It's like, you know, how is your show, or like why do people watch your show? Why do people stick around for the comic? You know, you're releasing it like every month. You know, every month. You know, for 3 weeks or to a month. You know, nothing really comes out. And he's like, so what keeps people interested in the meantime? And I was telling him about the show. And he's like, oh yeah, but not many people are gonna watch. Not many people watch the show. Like if I was reading this comic, I wouldn't watch your show. You know, and I was like, well, that's okay because that's not my target audience. You know what I mean? Like my target audience is those people that want to learn to improve artistically. But then I realized that, you know, I think it was when I was working with my buddy Owen. Owen was another concept artist at Riot Games, right? And he just had like he was an artist, but he was just like a Zen artist. He was like one of those artists that would like meditate. He just like meditates at his house. He's all like everything's all ergonomic and he's all healthy and he's in great shape too. And he's just a really really cool guy. And I walked up to him and I said, Owen, like for you, art is like a lifestyle. Art is your life and it's your lifestyle. You live everything according to it and you kind of you structure, you know, just the way that you think mentally, like you're mentally healthy, you're physically healthy, and your art is healthy, you know, and he was a great artist. So that kind of made me interested. And it's like, well, what makes the difference between someone who's just does art and someone who does art well, lives life well, and is just happy? You know, because another thing I realized is that if you're not happy, no matter what job or what you're doing, no matter, like if you're creating a picture, if you're drawing, if you're painting something, or if you're making a sandcastle at the beach. I mean, I can't imagine you making a sandcastle if you're like ticked off. You're like, ugh, I hate this. I hate this. You know, but sometimes when it's your job, you have to do it anyway. So that got me interested, and I want to kind of pertain to that audience. I want to reach out to that audience that is looking kind of in that same. They kind of believe in that same mentality. It's like art is a lifestyle. Art is my life, and I need to learn how to enjoy it. And I need to learn how to enjoy basically living as well. So that's kind of what I mean. That's always been a big thing for me. So that's kind of why I'm pushing this. All right. So let's talk about some other cool things that have been happening. Speaking of being positive and being happy and enjoying life, I'm going to talk about something interesting that's happened that I've heard before, but I didn't realize it. I didn't. It wasn't fully confirmed to me until I started this business. And the idea was you don't go searching for people to help you, right? When you start a business, you don't search for people that are going to be on your team, right? When you start a business with the right intentions, and that is for the love of what you're doing, right? If you start a business for money, for how you're going to get money, it's probably not going to go very far. That's how I started my first business. How was I going to make money? Didn't make anything, really, In fact, I lost a lot of money just from starting it up. But this business, I started it because I just want to make a comic. I just have this passion for this comic, and the money and everything that comes from it is only just going to help me continue making this comic, right? But really, it's like whether the money's there or not, it's like I'm going to figure out the way. I'm going to make the way to basically finish this comic. So there's no way in heck that I'm going to get to the end of my life and not be able to read my comic. So nothing's going to stop me. And I really like that feeling. It's a really cool feeling. And I noticed that when you start something, it doesn't matter what it is, but I think when you start it with the love of what you're doing and not how is everybody else going to help me out with this, I feel like you attract people because they can see the passion. They can see the passion in your eyes, and they can see it in your presentation. They can see it in your product. It's not like, oh, I can totally tell he's just trying to impress everybody. He's just doing what everybody says. He's just trying to figure out how to get money from us. I mean, don't get me wrong, some people might think that, and honestly, I don't really care if they do or not, but the people that I really am, people who really get what I'm about, they understand that I'm just making this comic for fun. I'm making this comic for myself, you know? And anybody else who wants to sit around and watch me make it, enjoy it along the process, and maybe learn something if you want to start a business of your own, is more than welcome to join me and check it out, right? And if you believe in it, then you can support me as much as you want. I'll give things back to you. I'll feature your name on things. I'll basically figure out a way to give back to you if you support me, right? And I really, really like that. And to be honest, after working with Riot, that was actually what really inspired the business model, so to speak, of what Emma the Online Comic is. When I was playing League of Legends, I was like, man, they give such an amazing product away for free. And my mentality was like, I want to give my money to this. I want to support this. I want to, I can't believe that they give something of such great value to me for free. I want to give back, right? And I just thought to myself, I was like, what an awesome mindset for your consumers, or basically, yeah, your supporters to be in, right? And so I said to myself, one day I want to make a business like that. One day I want to make a business that my consumers and my readers and my supporters love what I'm doing so much that they don't feel obligated to give money, and they're never forced to give money, but they just do anyway because they want to. So, yeah, that kind of sums up that point. Yeah, so when you start a business for the right reasons, I believe you attract people. When you start anything for the right reasons, I feel like you attract the people to be on your team. Like, since I started doing this, people have been contacting me about, like, music. People are like, oh, I'm an artist. I'll do concept art for you. I make music. I do voice acting. I do this. You know, and just these people just seem to, like, fall into my life. It's like, where did you guys come from? They're just, like, contacting me. I'm meeting people in real life, too, that just do this stuff. And it's like, I had no idea. Like, where would I have been if I would never have met you? You know, so it's really, really, really awesome. And I can't explain exactly how it works. All I know is that it works. All right. Let's talk about some challenges, right? Let's talk about some challenges that have gone into making, like, designing the world, designing the style, and designing the characters, right? So I think that some of the most challenging design elements that have gone into making the comic so far was mostly just the beginning, right? And I'll show you the first sketches of Emma. I always had this original sketch of Emma, and I was like, yeah, I'm gonna make this comic. It's gonna be awesome. And then luckily, I mean, for those of you who have been watching the show for quite a while, you'll know what I'm gonna pull up here. But these are the original concepts of Emma right here, right? So there's that there, and I gotta hold it at an angle because the light, like, blows it out. And you got that there. So this was kind of gonna be the original style of the comic, right? It's kind of similar to what we have now, but look at all the detail in the hair and all that stuff. And luckily, my designer friend Larry Ray, he has a lot of experience with cartoons, right? He does like a cool kind of simplified cartoon style, but it still just looks awesome, right? And he kind of took me aside and he's like, hey, Keenan, you should really, like, consider changing the design of your characters before you release this. And of course, like, Larry's my good friend, and I totally trust what he says, right? I really respect everything that this guy has to say because he's brilliant designer, and he still works at Riot. So naturally, I was like, okay, well, what do you mean? What do you mean? And he's like, just think about simplifying these shapes. Think about almost doing like an animated style. And he says, trust me, man, you're gonna have to draw these characters over and over and over and over again, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of times. And it's like, if you don't choose a simplified style, you are going to hate it. You are going to hate it. So I was like, all right, well, I better try something. So I started doing like figuring out how to simplify it, right? And then I showed him. He's like, no, it's not simple enough. Tried it again. Showed him. No, it's not simple enough. And I was like, well then, Larry, why don't you show me how to do it? And so then he sits down for about 5 minutes, sketches out something, and he shows it to me. And that's basically what Emma's design was going to be. He drew it in his style, and I basically took, like, you know how Emma's hair, and I'll show you really quick. Let's actually just take a look at that. Alright, so see how Emma's hair is just like a straight, like it's like a one graphic shape, you know? Like, these are the kinds of things that he was talking about, right? So he basically drew Emma in his style, but he had combined like all of these shapes together, and he talked about, you know, just really, really getting down to the meat and potatoes of the character and making it really, really simple to draw. He says, not only will this help you out in drawing the comic, but he says people will actually like it a lot more too. Because, you know, I remember when I was growing up, I loved watching Looney Tunes, and Taz was one of my favorite characters. And, you know, all these animated characters have to be really, really simple to draw. So they were, and by proxy, you know, anybody can look at this and be like, hey, I can draw that too. And then they'll draw your character, and then they'll have fun, and they'll be excited, right? So I think it's been a really, really good challenge of figuring out the designs of the characters, and I'm really happy with the final product that's come out here. And again, that goes back to that whole attracting the right people at the right time. Like, Larry came in, and he said the right thing at the right time, like right before I was about to do the comic. The comic may have been in a completely different style if it wasn't for Larry. So I tell him, I'm like, Larry, when this thing goes big, you're going to be getting a fat check in the mail. Just wait. So we'll see if we can make Larry's dreams come true. I want to make Larry's dreams come true. All right. Poizu, oh yes, and Poizu is asking a question. I invite everybody. Today is an intimate session, as you can tell by the candle. So if you have any questions, I'll glance over at the chat every now and then, and I'll answer your questions. Poizu is asking, do you have a full story already before I started the comic, or is it kind of as I go? Okay, great question, Poizu. Yeah, I'm actually just kind of making it up as I go. Just kidding. I have a general idea of all the things that I want to happen. Like, I have the big story chunks like laid out, but everything that happens between, oftentimes what I find happening is we'll come up with like these little like side quests, right? Side quests that'll happen, or little things that can, you know, just buffer between these two spots, and they're usually really, really fun adventures. And I think that's the other interesting challenge that comes with creating your own comic is, like, you literally create your own world. You create your own characters, people, style, world, the rules of it. Like, a lot of times we were thinking about, oh, well, would this really happen in the real world? And it's like, well, it doesn't necessarily have to. It's like, this is Emma's world. This is our universe. You know, it's based on Earth, but it's not exactly Earth. So, yeah, I think that's very, very, very cool. So I would say it's definitely a little bit of each. We've got major plot points laid out, what we want to happen, big things that we want between interactions of characters. But there's also a lot of thinking of like new little things that we can put in between that'll help describe the story, or it would be really cool to see a character do this. So yeah, that's really fun. All right, talk about designing, attracting people, how to become an attractive person and attract people to your cause. All right. Okay, guys. Now we're gonna talk about my reasons for doing this, right? Now this is where things start to get pretty deep, pretty intimate, right? You're not like super deep, but you know what I mean. It's definitely it's a big subject for me. My reason for doing this, my reason for making the comic, my reason for taking off from my stable job over at Riot and deciding to strike out on my own, make my own business, make my own comic. Okay, so one of my biggest reasons for doing this was back right before I got the job at Riot. In fact, how much time we got? I want to make sure. Oh, sweet. I just get to talk and talk and talk today. It's gonna be awesome. Okay, so right before I got the job at Riot, I was, as you know, in a more dire financial time with back at the apartment. Right, I was living with Jake. Jake was nice enough. He was paying for my rent. He was taking care of all this stuff. I was like living on beans and rice. I could barely afford to feed myself. And yeah, I was just basically like about to throw up my hands in the air and be like, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. I guess I got to go back. I got to go back to Utah and get I mean, I was working in the mall selling jeans, right? And I had submitted my application to Riot, and I was just like so banking on it. I was like, oh, I hope they give me a chance. I hope they give me a chance. I really, really hope this happens. You know, I just became so emotionally like exhausted because I was just surrounded by complete negativity, all these reasons to worry about life, and yet something inside of me told me that it was important that I stay positive, right? An important thing, something inside of me told me it's important that I focus on being grateful still, being happy, making it work, figuring out the way, because I really believed that there was a way. And it seems like right at the bitter end, right at the bitter end was when I finally got contacted by Riot. Right before I was about to pack up my things and go. It was just, it was really, it was like right before the snapping point, right? Right before, there was just no other choice. There was no other way that I could do it. It happened, right? And, you know, there was tons of other times where I could have easily given up. Tons of other times where I could have just given up and just gone back and just forgotten about, you know, whatever. But I was just determined to stick it out, right? I wanted to stay in California. I wanted to believe that I could create this life for myself and that I could live with my best friend and that I could have my own place, that I could be a man. You know what I mean? So I was really happy that was basically when I found out that I have like something inside of me that doesn't quit, something that doesn't allow me to back out. You know, when there's something that I really want, I just won't give up. I just can't give up. So yeah, so that same thing that was inside of me, that same kind of spirit, if you want to call it, my soul, the artist's soul, spoke to me once again when I was at Riot, right? And that was at a point where I realized that I really enjoyed the work that I was doing there, but I was falling into this robotic style of living. Every day was exactly the same. Sitting in traffic all day, work this many hours, go home, barely have enough time to even get some dinner and then go to bed. And then Saturday I did the show, and Sunday I caught up on all the chores that were pushed to the side during the week. Okay? So, and this just kept continuing and continuing, and day by day I really felt myself, I felt like I was just dying. I felt like I was just becoming another cog in the machine, you know? And I'm not talking down to anybody that's still working right, obviously. It's just, you know, I think it was really mostly on me. I think there was a lot of mental problems going wrong with me. It was just the way I was looking at it. You understand? Like, I could probably still be, you know, it would be easy for me to go back to Riot and have a different mindset, you know, especially now that I've learned a little bit of a different way to set goals, look at life, and just figure out that, you know, things are usually not as bad as they seem. So I want to make sure I'm not bashing on people that are like, oh, those people that are back there, oh, I'm glad I'm not them. You know, it's just for me. I think that there was a problem for me. Okay? There's a problem within me. So I decided that it just wasn't for me. My spirit inside me said I needed to create something. I needed to create my own thing. Right? So that was the day that I decided that I was going to quit my job, and I knew it. As soon as I felt that feeling, I just knew exactly what was going to happen. I knew I had to do it. I couldn't argue with it. So I took off from that, and yeah, so I did it for myself. I did it because I believed in it, because it just felt so right, because I felt like my spirit told me to do it. Another reason why I did it, another reason why I'm doing it now, is because I'm figuring out that starting your own business and doing all these challenging things and figuring out how to, you know, create a product quicker, you know, more efficiently, but still have the same quality, create products, start shipping physical media, make money off of digital things. All these things are very, very challenging, and it's forcing me to have to learn very, very quickly. But it's actually very exciting and it's fun. It's not like, oh, I guess I gotta learn this. You know, learn that and that and that. If it's all for the cause, right? If it's the means to the end, it doesn't really feel like work. And that's kind of something I've learned to focus in on. Like if I'm doing something and it doesn't feel like work, it's usually a good thing. So, because it means that you're enjoying it and it's probably the right thing to do. And if you're not enjoying it, then maybe you have to look at it from a different angle, right? Really look at, hey, how's this affecting me? What am I moving towards, right? Everything you do in life should have you moving towards something, right? Self-improvement, you know, growing and growing and growing like a tree, right? You don't see trees that get depressed and decide to stop growing. You know, they might, I don't know, if they stop getting uh, nutrition from the soil or something, or like a drought, but they never stop growing, right? As long as they have the potential to do so. So I think that that is also what life is about. And so self-improvement is a big reason why I'm doing this, why I'm continuing to do this. Another reason is because I've learned what success is in life. And success is merely just doing what you say you're going to do, right? It's not about, oh, well, I slaved away like this. I worked until my hands were completely like tensed up and I'm like an old man and my back is completely jacked up and I hated life the whole way while I was creating this product, and now I finally finished it, and man, now I got some money, and now I can relax. You know, that's not what success is. Success is being happy from the beginning. Success for me was the minute I put my stylus down onto the tablet. That was my success because I was creating a comic, I was following my dream, and I was believing in myself. That's what success is for me. And I really think that more people should view success as that way, because I just think, I don't know, I feel like a lot of people think that to do something significant, you have to struggle. It has to be a painful process, which in some ways it will be challenging, right? But it shouldn't be. You shouldn't hate it. You should go through the pain. You should take the pain in a way that you know that you can take it. You should take it on confidently. Does that make sense? You're like, oh, I got this challenge. I'm just gonna do it. It's not. It's like painful or something terrible happened or there's this huge failure. I totally messed this up. But you know what? That's good because when this comes up again, which I know it will, I'm not gonna make the same mistake again. That's what success is to me. And I've had a lot of chances to practice that. And another reason why I did it was because I feel like freedom. Freedom is actually one of the most important qualities, or is it even a quality? I would just say it's the most important thing to me. I love being free. I love being able to be creative and just like come up with things off the top of my head, come up with crazy, stupid ideas, and then just be like, yeah, okay, let's just do that. Let's do that and see what happens. That's kind of my mindset. Be like, I wonder what would happen if I just did this, and then I'll just go do it, right? And then I like not holding myself back like that because there's been too many times in my life where I think about something and then I immediately shut it down because it's like, oh, well, what would this person think of that? Or, oh, I'd probably look stupid if I did that. Or, oh, everybody's going to laugh at me. But you know what? Oftentimes I end up just doing that and oftentimes the result is positive. Like people are like, whoa, I can't believe he did that. Oh, that's inspirational. I would have never thought of that. You know, and sometimes it does. I do fall flat on my face and I look stupid. But you know what? I'd rather do that than stay safe in this little like cubby hole, right? And then just be like, oh, well, I'm not gonna do that because you know people are watching. You know, I can't do that. That's weird. Nobody does that. You know, so I wanted freedom. So I figured, hey, my mentality with this comic is I actually want to make mistakes. I want to make all the mistakes here. That way, my next comic, right? Because I do have more ideas for more comics. The next comic can be even better, right? Make all the mistakes here, and when I do this again in the future, which will inevitably come, the second comic will be even better, right? And I'll have learned all of the things not to do, if anything. Kind of like Thomas Edison, right? He figured out all the ways not to invent the light bulb. I'm going to figure out all the ways not to make a comic, you know? But so far, because I don't have that fear of failure, you know, I recognize that it's there and it will happen. I feel like since I don't have that fear, I'm actually succeeding more. Like there's a lot more positive results happening. And I really, really like that. So, all right, freedom! Freedom! Okay, But one of the most important reasons why I'm actually doing this is because, and one of the reasons that I think is really cool, it ties in with the KNKL show, is because imagine this. Imagine you sitting right there. You're watching this. You're watching this every day. I mean, you don't have to like watch it every day, but you know what I mean. You may say you check in every couple months, right? Say you're watching this episode today. You see, oh hey, issue 2 just got released. You come back a few months later. You're like, oh hey, issue 4 is out now. Let's check that out. Oh hey, he's doing like a director's commentary on that one thing, or he's doing a KNKL show, and you just look and you'll see the changes that are going to happen with me. I mean, I have already seen this. I go back to when I first started the KNKL show, and I look at the way that I used to talk. I look at like my level of confidence. I looked at how I projected my voice and how I talked about things and my mentality, and just, you know, it's so funny to see how you grow along the way, along your journey of life. It's so cool to see how you progress both mentally, physically, spiritually. And I really want this to be a documentation. I want this experience in this business to be a documentation of the kid that has the dream that decides to follow it, right? I want this to be a testament to the world of, hey, this is a kid that started with nothing, right? He didn't have any education, he didn't go to college, you know, but he taught himself, he made the way, he took a huge chance, right? Started his own business, he figured it out, he had these amazing failures in the past, but those helped him here, you know, so I should look at the failures that are happening in my life and not get ticked off about them, but accept them and realize they're going to come into play later, and I'll be able to use them. And I just want it to be that thing that even if I inspire just 2 people out there, if you are one of those 2 people, then I will be a very happy man. If I inspire you to follow your dream in such a way, and you don't have to quit your job or anything, like if you have a wife and kids, I understand you can't do the exact same thing that I've done, but do something every day that's going to be working towards your future, that's going to be that dream. Because I've said this before, it's like at the end of your life, you're going to be sitting on your bed and you're just going to be like, oh, I never got to jump off that cliff in the squirrel suit, you know? And you don't want to be that guy. You don't want to be that. So make sure that no matter what area of life you're in, realize that you can always be progressing, even if it's just a small little thing, towards making your dream, making your masterpiece, towards, you know, I don't know, just like creating something for yourself and not get stuck into, oh, this is my life. I just go to work, I do this thing until the guy tells me not to, and then I go home, get a little bite to eat, go to bed, right? If you're not, even if you're just reading a book, you know, oh, I'm gonna close that. Someone's messaging me on Facebook. Even if you're just reading a book, I'm not talking about anything super crazy. It's just like, make sure you're always improving yourself, improving your life. You know, because another thing that I've realized is that at the end of it all, it doesn't matter if this thing makes a lot of money, or if I'm able to buy, if I become a millionaire and buy all these cars and buy this giant mansion and have a giant pool party that I'll invite all of you to come to, that will have this giant, you know how we did the World of Warcraft pool parties? We'll have a real life pool party, right? I mean, things would all be cool, and I really would like to see them happen, and I think they possibly could happen. But even if that doesn't happen, right? Even if nothing comes of this, I realize that success for me is, or happiness in general, is not based around anything that you can possibly buy with money or get or anything. The happiness and the quality of your life is the state of the relationships of the people that are closest to you and the person that you've become, right? The person that you become, right? If you just flounder around and you just kind of go through life and be like, oh, I guess I'll just do this because that's what everybody else is doing. Oh, I guess I'll just do this because this person's telling me to do that and he's my boss, right? You're not going to amount to anything. You're going to get to the end of your life and realize, oh, I just let my life be dictated by what everybody else said my life should be. And I never really asked myself, well, what do I want to become? You know, how can I improve myself? So you can tell I'm very passionate about this. Happiness is not what you get. Happiness is what you become. So I realized that by taking this journey, by building this business, I'm becoming something. I am becoming, like, not becoming something as in, like, you know, just making money, but I'm becoming something greater because I'm exploring. I'm exploring the freedom of my creativity. I'm following my soul. I'm doing what I believed I was supposed to be doing. You know, ever since I was a little kid, I just had a dream that I had to create something. I had a dream that I had to tell a story, right? And I choose to believe in that, right? And even if I die believing in that, I know that I'll be happy. So, all right. Talk about reasons, and with that, speaking of, dying, believing in that, I know that that will be the case. Or if it had to come to it, I knew that that would be the case because I've allowed myself to find the reasons. I found the reasons for why I will not quit. And I think it's very, very important that you guys find the reasons that you will not stop. Find the reasons that you will not allow yourself to stagnate and just allow the world to tell you how to be, right? Find the reasons that you're going to force yourself to improve and to go after something, create something, improve your life, improve your health. Health is a big thing. You don't realize how lucky you are when just being healthy, right? So you should really, really have pride and be grateful for that. Have pride in the fact that you are healthy and be grateful for that every day. Because, when you're sick and you're incapacitated, you can't do anything, there's no amount of money that can basically buy you back into health. So I think you guys should all be very, very happy about that. All right. Moving on. All right, guys. So I'm going to talk about something that's actually been occurring to me lately that's of very much importance. And that is the importance of resting properly and meditating, if you will. Right? So I've been listening to a book on tape by Dale Carnegie. In fact, I'm going to check over here, see what you guys are talking about. Alrighty. We're talking about resting properly. I've been listening to a book on tape by Dale Carnegie that's called Stop Worrying and Stop Living. Or Stop Worrying and Start Living. Not Stop Living. You don't want to do that. And you can search it on YouTube, and it's a really, really cool book on tape. It's like 9 hours long, but if you work at a desk job or something, and you can listen to it while you're working, or put it on when you're like cleaning your room or something. Listening to it in the car when you're stuck in traffic, that's also another good place to do it, if you have the means to do that. But this book is awesome. And in there, Dale Carnegie talks about a story of these guys that had to move these giant bars, right? And they were transporting iron or whatever, but I'll just say they're golden bars, right? And normally every day these guys would work for 8 hours, and they were only able to move about 16. Oh no, they were able to move about, it was like 12 or 16 tons of these bars of gold, right? And one of the guys came in, and he had this idea that, hey, we should have the guys between these moments of where they're straining themselves and moving these heavy objects from one place to another, they should rest in between, right? And what happened was, after he employed this, basically the guys, and I'm not kidding you, this is awesome. The story goes is that the guys would work, they would lift and move these golden bars, right, that are just tons, like tons and tons of these golden bars. They'd move them over and over again, right, for 26 minutes. Right? For 26 minutes, they would move the bars. And then for 34, for the rest of the hour, they would actually rest. They would rest, and they wouldn't think about anything. They would just they said the most important thing is that you rest your mind, but even more importantly, you rest your muscles, right? Rest your eyes. Just kind of like go into that deep meditative state. Even as you say to yourself, just like, let go, relax. Think of nothing, like concentrate on something. Concentrate on the sound of the wind outside. Concentrate on, just like the details in the wall, or look at the carpet. Just something to keep your mind kind of, what's the word, preoccupied, and empty your mind. Really, really, I think that thinking about nothing is actually one of the most advanced techniques you probably ever learn, because your mind is so used to not thinking, or it's so used to thinking about stuff constantly, right? Constantly perceiving things, constantly worrying about the future, constantly, just thinking. So I think the art of thinking about nothing is very, very important. Because as you think about nothing, as you empty your mind, and I said this yesterday, the new thoughts, the awesome thoughts, the inspiration is allowed to flow into it. Because it just creates like a vacuum, right? And like the good thoughts just go, shoop, and you're like, whoa, that's awesome. So resting. Okay, so anyway, back to the story. The guys that would normally move 12 tons of these bars throughout the day, with the resting thing implemented, where they'd work for 26 minutes and then rest for 34, they would actually move about 4 times that. So I think they moved about 48 tons of the golden bars throughout the day just by doing those increments of working and resting, right? Work and rest, work and rest. And so they got so much more done, and they rested more. See how that, and I didn't understand exactly how this worked until I started trying it a little bit. And it's actually very, very hard to do. It's really hard to work for 26 minutes and then rest for 34. But the biggest thing that I've noticed from just doing this for the last week is that when you work for 26 minutes, like, you cherish those 26 minutes. Like, when you really force yourself to do this, you set a timer, and then you just go and go and go and go and go and go. And then when you're done, 34 minutes, just like, okay, I'm going to force myself to rest. Force myself to rest, you walk away from it, and then you get these ideas. You're like, oh, hey, I didn't think about this. I could do this and this and this. I could lay this out. You know, for me, it's for art. You know, say I'm creating a concept. And be like, oh, well, I should do this angle. I should make sure to have a sketch of this so they know what the design looks like. I should consider these colors. And all this time, it's like I'm not trying to think about that. That's what I really want to. I want to drive that point home. Is that when you're resting, you're not trying to think about stuff. You're actually emptying your mind, and then the thoughts of how you can improve it naturally come to you. And then when that 34 minutes is up, you were just like on the start line. You were like ready to go again, right? And so then when you go and then it starts, right? Those 26 minutes, you just go, you throw it all down, and it looks freaking awesome. And then you're like, oh man, it's time to rest again already. So then you do it again, and then even more good thoughts come to you. And then you just go back into it. You're back on that start line at 26 minutes. You go and go and go and go and go. And it's so freaking awesome. I wish I would have been doing this back when I was working at Riot. And I know that now, basically, no matter what type of work I'm doing, I'm going to keep doing this because I really believe that it's improving not only the quantity of work that I get done, but it's vastly, uncomparably improving the quality. It's improving the quality of the work that I do. And that is really, really awesome. Who would have known that you could have gotten more done and in a better quality by resting more? And I really challenge you guys to try that out. If you have like a smartphone or some sort of stopwatch, set a timer on there for 26 minutes. Go and go and go and go. When it's done, force yourself to relax for the remainder of the hour. Then, once it's done, go back and do it. And during the rest time, sometimes I'll go down and get something to eat. You know, I'll take those times as like my rest time, like lunch break, those types of things. And yeah, just like do things like kind of relax, fold some clothes, clean your room. You know, I think that's the other thing that's maybe magical about it. You get like other little things done. Read a book, you know, for 34 minutes. You know, all kinds of things that are expanding your mind. You just get these ideas, and it really is magic. I can't explain to you guys how awesome it is until, you know, you guys are just gonna have to figure it out for yourselves. So that, and, you know, the journal, which I keep throwing at you guys. I'm gonna keep throwing this at you guys because the journal is awesome. The journal is awesome. I don't care what you guys say. I don't care if you say it's diaries for girls. All right, guys. Looks like we got about 5 more minutes. Oh yeah, the freaking dog. I hate that dog. I want to freaking pull a Nico on it. Blow it to smithereens. Take it out. So, okay, so I closed the door, so hopefully that helps. Alrighty. Actually, it does kind of tick me off. Stinking dog. Ruining my motivational speech, but that's okay because I'm practicing now. I will give these speeches again. And I'll give them in front of vast audiences, right? Because that's another thing that I've realized that I'm finding great passion in. Finding great passion in giving motivational speeches. Because I really think that there's, I don't know, just looking at the effect that those kinds of talks have had on my life, it's like, man, I want to do that. I want to have that energy. I want to have that passion. I want to make people be inspired to like see themselves as greater than they are and then want to get there. You know what I mean? Because that's what it's done for me. All right, guys. Next thing I want to talk about, which is really, really cool. And by the way, for these last 10 minutes, I don't know if I already said this, but cast your questions over here. I'm not going to say question catapults, but I'm not going to like be like 5 minutes to go, question catapults. Just go ahead and ask any questions that you have over here, and then we'll we'll finish it up. Alrighty. For the swarm. Alright, guys, we're going to talk about creativity versus being smart, right? So, so I would consider myself not that smart of a person. However, I would consider myself a creative person, right? If I have a problem, might not figure out the most creative way to solve it, or might not think of the most smart way to solve it, but I will think of a very creative way to solve it. Now, I want to tell you guys about the awesomeness of why, again, you need to look at everything with a positive mindset, right? Normally, I would look at, oh man, there's all this uncertainty with financial things. I don't know exactly if I'm going to be able to afford this. I'm going to have to relocate. I might have to go elsewhere. I don't know how to be able to pay for these bills. I don't know, basically all these financial troubles that happen, and they always come and go in your life. They're always going to be there. But I think in times where things get really, really tight, I think it's a really, really cool thing because in those times of almost desperation, your mind actually starts to get very, very creative, right? So you almost want to look at it as a blessing, right? You get really, really motivated to make something happen if it's within you, right? If you have the same kind of spirit inside of you that I have inside of me, and I think you do. I think it's something that artists really share inside themselves, like the wanting to be free, the wanting to be creative, and create, right? Create things and be free. I think we all kind of share that. But I think when you are really, really going through a desperate time, whether it's financially, emotionally, your girlfriend breaks up with you, one of your friends gets ticked off at you, when stuff like that happens, I feel like you just get this drive inside of you. Something just comes alive, and it just forces you to really be creative, really make something happen. That if you really just didn't have to worry, if your parents pay for everything for you, and you're just good to go, you don't have to worry about too much, you probably wouldn't have that same kind of fire lit underneath your butt, right? It's going to make you do something. So personally, when things like that happen, when tough financial times happen or tough emotional times happen, it's like, all right, this is the time where I'm going to get to step up again. Like, so that thing is going to come out of me again that cannot be stopped. And I get excited, right? I get excited when looks like things are going to happen, right? When the crap's about to hit the fan. So, yeah, I feel like in desperate times, your mind is cleared and you can think more. Even you actually arguably would become smarter too, because you just see things more clearly. You just see that exact way at where you need to go, where you need to go to. Basically, it's almost like a survival instinct. You get creative and you get smarter because your mind gets cleared in those moments of desperation. So yeah, wrapping that up, I would say always view those times, those down times, as a blessing. View those as, oh, this is awesome. Something great is going to come out of this, right? View it as a blessing. Look at it positively. Okay? And let's see. Yeah, that goes right into the next thing. It talks about being positive. Let's see. Oh, yeah. All right, guys. And I think this is going to be a good thing to end the episode with, because thinking positively, and basically I wrote down as a little note here. It says, dreaming big as opposed to thinking realistically, right? And I'm always, let's see, how do I put this? It's not very hard for you to talk to somebody about some big dream you have, right? Some big company you want to make, some story you want to tell, some, journey you want to take, without finding someone that's going to tell you, why are you doing that? You're not going to do that. That's not realistic. How are you going to do that? Tell me how you're going to do that, right? So I want to talk to you guys about basically the different mind frames of dreaming big, allowing yourself to really see something greater in front of you, right? But not, okay, I'll get to that in a second. Basically, seeing something greater in front of you and moving towards that, as opposed to thinking realistically, right? You know who thinks realistically? Probably about 99% of the entire United States, if not the world. I don't know. I haven't been to the rest of the world, but I feel that realistically, like people that think realistically are the people that just wind up with the same lives as everybody else. The mediocre, boring lives where they do the same thing every day. They go to the job, they do exactly what they're told until they're told to go home, and then they come home, do the same thing. They meet with their, their wife or their girlfriend. They watch some movie, they do the same thing, they eat out, they slowly get, fatter and fatter and fatter, and they slowly start progressing towards this crappy lifestyle, right? And they just sit there and they stagnate and they never improve, right? That's what a lot of people do. And to be honest, that's what a big majority, I mean, it's actually the most easy thing to do. It's very easy to get comfortable and be like, oh, wow. It's almost like the natural human state to be like, oh, well, I think, I'm good right here. I'm comfortable. So I don't have to move. I don't have to take any risk. I don't have to do anything crazy. I just sit right here and just keep living, right? So, and that is the realistic mindset, right? A lot of people that think realistically, as I stutter over my words, a lot of people that think realistically don't want to have big dreams. They don't want to think about what's better. They don't want to think about, oh my gosh, like, oh man, it could be so much better, and I'm sitting here just allowing life to happen in front of me without doing anything about it. They don't want to think that way because that would make them uncomfortable. So they fall into this mindset of, well, that's realistic, right? That's realistic and that's safe and that's comfortable, right? But the problem with that is that thinking realistically will never give you what's the word? Thinking realistically will never give you an above average life. It never will. And I'm not just talking about money. I'm talking about, remember, the person that you're becoming. If you think realistically about yourself, then it's just you're gonna sit exactly where you are. Being realistic is stagnating, sitting still, not moving, right? But if you dream big, if you dream about where you can go, just have something always be pulling you, right? You're not going to sit in one place because you want that thing so badly you won't allow yourself to live without it, right? So I think that's basically, I hope I got that across properly. But yeah, I think being positive versus thinking realistically. Don't think realistically. Think realistically, I guess, where you have to, right? If you got people that are depending on you, you got a wife and kids. Think realistically in that sense, but don't fall into this is all I can do. Don't fall into the mindset of, oh, well, I can't do it. I'm forced to stay like this. How else am I supposed to dream big? How else am I supposed to create something for myself? There's always a way. If you want it bad enough, you make the way, okay? And I could be a lot more colorful about this, but since I am on the show, I'm trying my best to not say some naughty things. All right, guys, so I'm going to take a couple questions, and then we're going to end day 34 of the KNKL stream. Okay. All right, couple questions coming in. Fall Strider asks, when you were in high school, did you ever find it hard to find time to draw or paint? Fall Strider, that is a great question. I may have found it hard to find time sometimes, but my mindset when I was in school was always just like, as soon as I finished one drawing, I was always like, what's the next one? What's the next thing that I get to do? So, and oftentimes I'd actually just be drawing in class, right? I'd just be drawing. I had like my notebook open, just draw things, draw whatever came to my mind. In fact, one of my comic ideas actually came to me when I was drawing in class. So inspiration can hit you at the most interesting times. Poisey's asking, if you don't get enough money for the comic, can I hire you as a personal motivator? Yes, that would be great. That would be awesome. One-person seminar. I'll sit in front of you and I'll be like, Poisu, you make that. You draw that thing. And you do it good. You do it really good. So, all right. Valkyo D is saying something good. Talking about, I will follow my dream even if it means dying doing so. I think when you have that kind of mentality, it's just, that's the mentality that makes you find the way. That's the mentality that makes you find the way. I realized that, similar, it's like, I would rather die than get to the end of my life and not have made this. Does that make sense? I would rather die today than have to face the fact that I cannot create something. You know what I mean? So that's a great, of course, you're not going to let yourself die. You know what I mean? But that's an interesting mindset to have. It's like, I will die for my dream. And once you resolve that, it's amazing the inner fire that you find within yourself. And it just makes you really, really happy. And it makes you find that purpose in life. It's that purpose, right? That's what we're all searching for. We want that purpose. So find it. All right. Last question. Brian Hogan asks, KNKL, do you enjoy playing PC games? If so, which? Let's see. Games that I like to play. I was really into Black Ops for a little while. I kind of feel like I'm kind of falling out of it as of late. It's kind of, I don't know, I feel like it's not bringing the same amount of joy that, you know, actually doing something is, like even reading a book or making the comic. I do love playing games where I can enjoy the experience with someone else. Always really enjoyed multiplayer games. Something that you can create, not just an experience, you know, where you play single player and be like, oh, wasn't that fun? But something that I really enjoyed and I always think back to was when I played World of Warcraft, strangely, with my friend Jake. We had, I remember we were trying to make this certain type of armor, right? We had to hunt these dinosaurs in this crater area, right? And there's these giant, like, Tyrannosaurus Rex things, and two people could barely take it on, right? We were two rogues, and we had to basically, like, switch off our abilities, and, like, just in order to take it down, we had to, like, hunt these things throughout the entire, like, crater, and it was super fun. And even though we were getting the materials to make a piece of armor that wasn't even that good, but it was, do you understand that? It's the experience, right? It's the experience of doing it. It's the memory that you create with somebody else that really holds the value. I can't remember any really other experiences playing World of Warcraft or any other games in general that don't involve me creating an awesome memory with someone. So I think any game that has the opportunity to do that is the kind of games that I tend to gravitate towards. So, but that's just me. All right, guys, it is 8:02, so that means we're going to go ahead and end today's stream. Thank you guys once again for joining me live on Ustream. I appreciate you guys sitting down and actually listening to me flap my gums. That's awesome. Getting my practice for the one day that I will be the motivational speaker and I will give seminars and I'll be an old man. I'll be like, this is how you make a comic. And yeah, so thank you for allowing me to practice on you guys and hopefully improve my speaking capabilities. So you guys have a great weekend, and I'll see you guys. Remember, no show next Monday. I'm taking that day off. We're going to be resuming the normal schedule on Tuesday, and we'll have an awesome tutorial plan. So you guys have a great weekend. Thumbs up if you like it. Thumbs down if you don't. My name is Kienan Lafferty. I'll talk to you guys next time.